A month prior to the wedding, Lindsey expressed her desire for some personal time. I didn't dispute it. I personally drove her to the airport and sent her to my residence in Malibu. The following evening, my neighbor informed me she wasn't alone there. We were at our preferred Italian restaurant when Lindsey set down her fork and gazed into my eyes. "Ray," she said, "I need a month of independence before our wedding." She spoke gently but with conviction. She emphasized that she truly needed solitude. Hearing this was unusual to me as we had been cohabiting for 2 years, and I thought we were already accustomed to each other. With the end of October approaching, the invitations had been dispatched, the banquet hall payment was settled. After contemplating, I consented. If my future spouse required solitude to ponder and enter our marriage with a clear mind, I was content with that arrangement. The next day, I purchased her a ticket to California. I own a residence in Malibu myself. On multiple occasions, Lindsey and I had visited the location to unwind. I requested Teresa, my real estate agent in Malibu, to withdraw the property from the rental market for the upcoming month so my fiancé could reside there. Overjoyed, Lindsey embraced me, expressing that the sun, ocean, and tranquility were crucial in alleviating her pre-wedding stress. Everything ultimately went smoothly, but a question lingered in my mind. Why, on the eve of our most significant day, did she prefer to escape rather than stay with me? Instead of dwelling on it, I immersed myself in work. The next morning, I drove Lindsey to the airport, assisted her with her luggage, and escorted her to the security line. Before blending into the crowd of passengers, she turned around, waved at me, and flashed that same smile that initially captivated me. Returning home, I engrossed myself in work. Later that evening, Dana Talbot, my Malibu neighbor, contacted me. Dana suggested we should dine at Sonora, our preferred eatery close to the house that evening. However, I informed her that this time Lindsey was staying solitary and I remained in Nashville. There was a brief silence before Dana said, "Ray, perhaps this isn't my concern." Her tone seemed strained, yet I spotted Lindsey on the boardwalk. I smiled at her intending to approach, but she swiftly turned away, quickened her pace, and feigned not recognizing me. She wasn't by herself. She was walking hand in hand with a man. Upon learning this might be one of our acquaintances, I thanked her and ended the call. Afterwards, I stayed silent for a while before disconnecting. Why did Lindsey avoid me and hasten away? Who was that man? We had no common friend in Malibu. I didn't wish to contact her and attempt to extract an explanation. If she initiated the game, I chose not to let her know I was aware of it. Instead, I opted to uncover the truth myself. Next day, I phoned Teresa, my real estate agent in Malibu, to check on my property. She said, "Everything's good, Ray. However, I thought you were with her yesterday." The security guard at the complex informed me that Lindsey returned home in the evening accompanied by a man. I had assumed it was you. Following this revelation, I couldn't focus on work. It seemed Lindsey wasn't being truthful. She had promised solitude to rest and reflect after the wedding chaos. Yet here she was, seemingly with another person. It was too soon to assume the worst. Perhaps it was an old friend or family member, or maybe this was a prelude to a wedding surprise. Yet, as I pondered over the situation, it became apparent. From my location in Nashville, I wouldn't be able to uncover the truth. Before making any decisions, I wanted to see for myself what the reality was. The following day, I scrapped my commitments, procured a ticket, and embarked on a flight to Malibu. I kept this development from Lindsey. I sought to spare her the interruption of her month-long liberty preceding the wedding, as it was now proving advantageous for me. Upon arriving in Malibu, I secured a vehicle and promptly steered towards my residence. I parked the car slightly off to the side and commenced observation. After an hour, Lindsey emerged from the house and remained on the doorstep for approximately 10 minutes. Grazing my gaze upon her, I began to doubt whether this entire scenario was a byproduct of my pre-wedding anxiety. That these days had been a self-induced buildup, and there was no man. I was about to exit the car and approach her when, abruptly, a black BMW pulled up to the house. A tall, athletic male disembarked swiftly from the vehicle. He walked towards Lindsey and spoke at length, expressing himself passionately, as if offering explanations or apologies. Lindsey listened intently, then tenderly embraced him and smiled. They entered his BMW and departed. This individual was not a family member, and it was certainly not a surprise for a wedding. From what I witnessed, it was clear to me that the wedding had been canceled. I reserved a room in a nearby hotel. I washed up, changed my clothes, and drove to Teresa's office. She appeared taken aback by my presence in Malibu. I informed her that the plans had altered. I intended to list the Malibu property for sale immediately, as a buyer wished to inspect it this week. I requested Teresa to contact Lindsey and instruct her to vacate the premises within a few days. Teresa seemed perplexed. If she inquired why, I responded that it was my decision. She would learn more about it from me later. It's possible that onlookers found the situation peculiar. Only a few days prior, I had specifically requested to remove the property from the rental market for a month for my fiancée. Suddenly, I insisted she leave immediately. Teresa scrutinized me, seemingly trying to comprehend the situation, but then she nodded. We discussed a few final details, and I drove back to the hotel. Upon returning, I set about canceling the wedding. I retrieved my contacts list and began dialing each person, one by one, everyone who had been paid to arrange our festivities. First was the banquet hall manager, whom I informed of the cancellation. Next, I contacted the caterers, florist, musicians, and photographer. I forfeited a portion of the deposits, but at that moment, money held no significance. All I wanted was to terminate the whole affair. The most challenging call was to Lindsey's parents. They were decent individuals, and I didn't wish to cause them pain. However, it had to be done. I needed to inform them. I dialed Thomas, her father. "Hi, Ray," he greeted. "How are things in Nashville? How are the preparations coming along?" I replied. "I phoned to inform you that the wedding won't be happening. It's all canceled." I informed him. Silence followed on the line. "What led to this decision? Did something go wrong between the two of you?" His sigh was audible. "John, I value your and your family's respect, so I'm taking responsibility for the news. I won't disclose the reasons. Lindsey is in California at the moment. She'll return to fill you in. I apologize. Please forgive me." I politely bid farewell and terminated the call. That same day, Lindsey began calling me. It appeared that Teresa had already informed her of needing to vacate the premises, and likely your father had already shared about the wedding being canceled. On the hotel screen, I saw the calls stacking up one after another, but I refused to answer the phone. As she herself requested, I was only honoring her wish for a month's silence from calls. In the hotel below us was our favorite little restaurant, Sonora, where Lindsey and I used to unwind in Malibu. We frequented it regularly. Overlooking the ocean, the terrace was always bustling in the evening. That night, I descended to the dining room and found a secluded table against the wall, offering a panoramic view of the busy boardwalk. Hunger gnawed at me, so I requested a succulent steak and a cup of espresso. I anticipated her arrival. Indeed, Lindsey entered the restaurant with the man from the black BMW, moving deeper within and choosing a table nearby. She didn't seem to notice my presence in Malibu. I remained seated, observing her. I noticed her radiant smile. I observed her glances directed towards him. I witnessed him lean across the table and whisper something softly. At one point, he tenderly touched her hand, his fingers tracing along her slender fingers. Lindsey returned his smile. To an onlooker, they appeared to be a devoted couple. However, she must have been aware that there would be no wedding, as her father likely informed her. Lindsey appeared unfazed by the news, seated with her acquaintance as if I didn't exist in her life. She looked utterly carefree. I waited another 10 minutes before joining them. Upon noticing me, she turned and her expression transformed from surprise to a fading smile. The man was puzzled, unsure of who I was and why Lindsey reacted so strangely. I pulled up a chair and sat down. Addressing the man, I stated, "Ray and I need to discuss something. It doesn't concern you." "Depart." He frowned and turned his gaze towards Lindsey. "Lindsey, who is this?" Yet she only seemed lost in thought. The man eventually moved to the bar, leaving us alone at the table. Eventually, Lindsey broke the silence. "Ray, it's not what you think. He's just an old friend. We happened to meet randomly." I halted her with a gesture of my hand. Lindsey halted mid-sentence, visibly swallowing. "Don't, Lindsey, spare me the false sentiment." I leaned back in my seat, meeting her gaze squarely. "Save the chance encounter for your family. They'll be eager for details." She paled, glancing around the table nervously. She tapped the stem of her glass, but her hand was shaking so violently it struck the plate softly. "You requested a month of liberty in my place to see another man. Well, you got what you asked for. Now you're absolutely free from me, our plans, and our shared future." She attempted to feign victimhood. Tears glimmered in her eyes, a weapon she'd used before, effectively swaying me. "You were monitoring me? How base. You're simply selfish and paranoid, Ray. You wrecked everything due to your own doubts." I glanced towards the bar, where her companion was fidgeting with a glass, avoiding our gaze. He was evidently uneasy. "These aren't just suspicions," I replied, rising from my chair. You have 24 hours to vacate this property. It seems your partner has found another cozy abode for the two of them. I began to stride towards Sonora's exit. The sea breeze offered a refreshing chill against my face. My phone vibrated in my pocket, an airline alert for online check-in initiation for my evening flight. I pressed confirm seat selection and headed towards my hotel. I had packing to do. In a few hours, I would be back on a plane to Nashville. Yesterday, Teresa informed me that Lindsey had completely vacated the premises. Today, someone rang my doorbell. On the doorstep stood Caitlin, Lindsey's sister, who had arrived to express remorse for her sibling. It transpired that Lindsey had returned from California and was staying with Caitlin in Franklin, unwilling to confront her parents. From her, I discovered that the man in the black BMW in Malibu was not a casual acquaintance. His name was Cole. Her ex from Knoxville is Caitlin's statement about him. He resurfaced approximately 3 months ago, reaching out to her via text messages, attempting to meet up. Lindsey felt apprehensive about her emotions, got perplexed, and didn't want things to progress as they were. She aimed to clear old feelings and contemplate the situation. I empathized with her predicament, realizing that this had been ongoing for 3 months without my knowledge. Later, she fabricated a tale about a month of freedom prior to our wedding to spend time with him and eventually returned to me calmly. They deceived me effectively, making me wait while my fiancée resolved her past issues. As I looked at Caitlin, Lindsey wanted to resolve her feelings. Very well. Now she has the rest of her life for that, but without me. Caitlin acknowledged everything and ceased defending her actions. We bid farewell and terminated the relationship, leaving no room for reconciliation. Toward the end of October, the scheduled date for our wedding arrived. Nashville's weather worsened with an extended autumn rainfall. I was in my living room sipping coffee, watching raindrops slide down the window. Suddenly, a message arrived from an unfamiliar number. It was Lindsey. "Ray, we could be exchanging vows today, but here I am at Caitlin's. My self-declared month of freedom has cost me everything, and I fully acknowledge my guilt. You did what needed to be done. Please forgive me." I didn't reply. I simply erased the conversation. My silence was the harshest response I could give her. We had spent half a year preparing for that wedding, but I dismantled it in a day. I was fortunate that Lindsey requested that month before the wedding instead of afterward. Otherwise, it would have cost me much more. I trust the protagonist's actions didn't let you down. In real life, true strength isn't about causing a scene. It's about remaining composed and enduring the blow.